Wendell, what the hell is on your head?
I've got the new Hololens prototype. Didn't you see it? It was at the Microsoft press release. It's the new Hololens. I'm playing Minecraft right now.
So now you're a hollow hole. Well, I don't. It's an anti-static bag, everybody. That's what their prototype was. I'm not saying that he was wearing an anti-static bag. I'm saying that their prototype was an anti-static bag. It's awful. I read the thing about a thing in Wired, and the guys are like, "Oh, it's amazing." I haven't tried it, but there's so much skepticism out there. Wired has actually tried it, and they're like, "Yeah, it changed the world. It's amazing." Lions and lambs laying in fields together, cuddling. It's beautiful. It's that good. By the way, guys, I'm a bit delirious right now. I was up all night testing these graphics cards. You guys should go watch those reviews because I worked on them damn hard. Okay. So yeah, I'm a little bit delirious because I was up way too late doing that, and then also testing them in SLI because I wanted to make sure you guys got that. That's important. Anyway, so we do have some new Chrome Industries backpacks. These are the backpacks that I personally use. They are extremely high quality. Just in my opinion, they're the best things out there that you can get for under like $1,000. So we went all out and got some nice. Well, that's $109. I think he might have messed up on that price. I mean to tell him to go change them. Also, our design of the month is this that you can see here, and it's also on a tri-blend shirt. It's even softer than the standard all cotton shirts. So check that out, man. 50% polyester, 25% rayon, and 25% cotton. So with the design of the month, what we're going to be doing is taking maybe some designs from the community or just some random designs that we come up with, and each month there's going to be a new design. So that's what that one is. At the end of the month, the end of January, it's over. So if you haven't gone on there and grabbed one, it's gone. So this one's not a new design. It's just a new style entirely, and I'm quite excited for those. But who knows what's going to be coming up next month? You guys can stay tuned for that. Anyway, this is funny. The passwords. The number one password is still 123456. That's still the number one password. I don't think any of our users have that. If one of our users has that, or anybody, especially YouTube, I bet some of you YouTubers have that. So I'm just curious. I want to know out there if any of you guys use 123456 as your password on YouTube. Just let me know in the comments. I'm very curious to say yeah, I use 123456. You got me. I'm just curious. Just go ahead and let us know in the comments. And if you're also someone who uses just something like 1234567 or 12345, or just like any of the top ones right here. See all these? 5 is QWERTY. That's a password. People just QWERTY. Baseball is number 8 on the list, and dragon. That's weird. Monkey. That's the 12th most popular password, monkey. But my favorite is number 15. Just a bunch of ones. Just 1111111. Really? Really, guys? Come on. So if any of you guys use any of these passwords, just let us know which one it is in the comments. I'm very curious.
It doesn't really matter if I mean, even if you're using 123456, sort of ironically as an homage to Mel Brooks, stop it.
Yeah, it ain't funny when you never mind. Let's talk about Windows 10, shall we? Because Windows 10 is going to be out very soon, and there are a whole slew of different articles coming out. I don't want to start with this Ars Technica article. I think I want to start with this blog here on Windows, on blog.windows.com. So they list off the different things, or the new things, Cortana being one of them. Cortana is going to be your personal assistant. It's a new search engine similar to Siri or something like that lives on your desktop. I imagine it's also going to be collecting a bunch of marketing data for Microsoft and then sending it back to Microsoft so that they can sell your data for a chunk of change. Who knows? They're also trying to unify the experience so that you're just on Windows. And the idea here is that there's no more different versions. There's no more professional, and there's no more enterprise and home and whatever, or home premium. It's just you're just on Windows, and that goes for phones as well. You're on Windows on the phone. They're creating new software suites that will be cross-platform with the phone. New Office suite that's going to work on the phone and the desktop. And they're also, for the desktop, bringing back the Start menu, of course. And some of you guys have seen our Windows video. In fact, hundreds of thousands of you guys have seen our Windows 10 video. So I don't know how I feel about this. The one thing that I'm really not looking forward to is just all the Windows services being integrated into the operating system. Some of it seems a little heavy-handed, like Cortana. I hope there's a way to turn that off. And then Xbox Live, because you know what I wanted, Microsoft? I've been sitting here on my PC saying, God, I really wish I could stream my Xbox games to my PC so that I could actually have some games on this stupid tax machine. You know? my Tax Blaster 9000 can finally play games because now I can play Xbox games on my PC. But there's also a whole Xbox community, and I'm being silly right there, but you can't stream Xbox to your PC and your other devices that run Windows, like your tablets and phones. The other thing interesting about Xbox is, or their whole Xbox environment, Xbox app or whatever, it's going to bring Xbox Live gaming to the PC. There's going to be a bunch of exclusive titles for Xbox Live, which means they will not run in Linux, which means they are going to require Windows 10, and they're going to require DirectX 12. So they're forcing people to upgrade that way. I believe Fable is the first confirmed title, the new Fable game that they're saying is going to be amazing. So they're doing the same thing, but now they're doing it inside Windows. They're forcing you to move to Windows 10 using the same idiotic philosophies they used with Windows or with Xbox, exclusive titles to push you to do something. And then on top of that, they're saying, there's going to be cross-platform play. Now, do you guys remember the old Shadowrun game that came out on, I believe it was Xbox, maybe Xbox One? It came out back in like 2007 for PC and Xbox, and it was cross-platform. It was a freaking mess. It was so much of a mess that the Shadowrun people were like, no, we don't have anything to do with that. They just bought the rights from it. And now with the the new Shadowrun games, they're like, yeah, that's us, man. That's us. We're working on this stuff. So cross-platform may be a bit of a nightmare again, because it turns out that a mouse and keyboard destroys a controller 10 times out of 10 times. Yeah. Anyway, what are your highlights here that you want to point out?
Let's not forget Games for Windows Live. Games for Windows Live was a complete train wreck, and this is probably going to be a complete train wreck. But it really, you remember a couple of years ago? It's been almost 3 years ago now, I think. Gabe went to Microsoft, and so from first Gabe 34, and lo and Gabe said, "Oh, Microsoft is not going in a direction we want, so we're going to have to make Linux be able to run games because we've got nowhere else to go, and we're $1 billion company." So. Yeah, this is what he saw. He opened the Ark of the Covenant, and this is what he saw inside.
A lot of people have accused him of being overly dramatic, and a lot of people have accused him of being afraid of the App Store. And they're like, why the hell is he afraid of the App Store? Doesn't he realize that he can still run his Steam client or whatever? I think what he was looking at was the future where they start to use Xbox Live on the PC. I think that's the future he was worried about. And I still don't think it's going to be as locked down. I don't think Microsoft's going to be that stupid. There may, I don't know. I mentioned that the new Fable game is going to be an exclusive for Windows 10, and I may have misspoken. It's not confirmed as an exclusive for the Xbox Live gaming network on Windows 10, but so I don't know about that. But if it is an exclusive for the Xbox Live gaming network, this could be messy, and they better hope that their app is a lot better than Origin and Uplay and all that sort of thing. I don't think it will be better than Origin, just because Microsoft's track record lately, they don't seem to get it when it comes to gamers. So, I don't know. They have... Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, no, just the interesting, there's another aspect of this that no one has talked about, and so you'll hear it here first, maybe, sort of, kind of. And that is, there's a marketing person inside of Microsoft, an executive somewhere, somebody real high up, thinks that gaming on the PC is dead, which is why they've sort of half-assed supported that for God knows how long. And they know that they need to bring some of the technologies, and they know that the PC is still a good platform for gaming, which is why they used x86 for their console. But they also know that sales of laptops and portable devices and tablets are way outstripping desktops, and graphics horsepower is something that you're not really going to be able to cram into a tablet as well as you can a desktop machine or a console in this case. And so if you're Microsoft and you're looking at it and you're saying, oh, we've got the Surface tablet, which has the Intel integrated graphics. How can we bring people a really good gaming experience on that? Oh, I know, Xbox streaming. And that's what those marketing people are thinking inside Microsoft. So they're thinking, well, we can still have gaming for Windows, and we can just transition people to the console with this. I guarantee you that this is part of their business strategy and this is what they're thinking. And it's not a bad strategy as far as business strategies go, but I'm not sure that, anybody that watches an Air audience would really take that kind of an approach seriously.
We could even tie this way back into the original study when Pepsi hired someone and they said, hey, can you go out there and figure out what the preferred flavor of Pepsi is? And after months of research, they came back to Pepsi and said, hey, it's not the preferred flavor of Pepsi, it's the preferred flavor of Pepsis with an S. There are a lot of different people out there. Microsoft, everybody is not an Xbox gamer. There are a lot of PC gamers out there. So if you're going to try to force them into, a square into a round hole, it's not going to work. We're just going to completely abandon you as a platform. And I hope a lot of people end up moving over to Linux because that's what we need in order to force the, hardware manufacturers like freaking NVIDIA, to better their drivers and that sort of thing on devices like this. So if there are more of us there, I'm sure they'll be happier to work with Linux. Maybe this will be a push towards Linux. I don't know. Linux is still a bit intimidating for a lot of people out there.
At least 20% of the Steam catalog is on Linux, which is a non-trivial amount of games.
Yeah, and if you're cool and buy a lot of indie games, or you're hip and buy a lot of indie games, I think 33% of my library was on Linux, or maybe even higher than that. It might have been 37, I forget. But last time I logged in, I was like, damn. And it seems to be growing all the time. And a lot of the games on Good Old Games now, they're going to be Linux. They've added Linux support to a lot of them, so it's looking good. I mean, is there anything else we should talk about with this Microsoft business? Maybe the new headset that you were joking around with, the Hololens.
Yeah, so the Hololens looks insane, and
if
that's
it's real.
It is if it's real.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, so the demo videos they have are of them playing Minecraft, and some of them, the ones that blew me away anyway. And it's augmented reality, but it's augmented reality that is interacting with the things that were in their environment. So they look down at a table, and on the surface of the table was like a Minecraft environment projected onto that. And then it was on the floor and the walls and the ceiling and the whole 9 yards. And so the type of technology necessary to pull that off, it's got to be able to basically get a 3D map of your environment. That's maybe Kinect technology, but it would be Kinect technology from 10 years in the future, which is sort of disturbing if that's where they actually are. And then they would need insanely accelerated graphics. And the only insanely accelerated graphics that I'm familiar with also puts out an insane amount of heat, which I'm not really sure that you want to wear on your head. So I really wonder about battery life, and I really wonder about, where is the processing happening? Maybe the processing is happening on an Xbox One or, the giant 80-inch Surface that they had or something like that. I don't know. But if that's the case, then it's interesting that Microsoft is able to sort of push the pixels back and forth between the devices like that. So it looks really interesting. I'd love to play with one, and apparently the people with Wired got to play with one, and they say it's for real. And so if
Wired
that's
or
the
ours?
case,
Flat out magical. Actually,
it might have been ours.
Ours, I think Wired also played with it as well, but they said it was flat out magical. So interesting.
So that's encouraging. Google Glass did not get any kind of reviews like that.
No, it didn't. And Kane picked his up and cursed at it a lot. I mean, he wore it around because it was cool for a little while, but yeah, just ended up cursing at it a lot. Some of the stuff in this video, it's just too. It's like I can't believe it until I see it myself. Even after I hear Ars Technica and Wired or whoever else saying it's amazing, I'm like, I can't believe it. I got to put it on. It's just it's way, like you just said, it's way too far ahead, and it doesn't make any sense. What are they doing? So there's some black magic, voodoo evil going on here. Maybe Satya Nadella has a pact with the devil or something, and we didn't know about this. And that's how he took over the company in the first place. Like underground meetings, or maybe out there in some grove in California, running around naked in the woods. And now all of a sudden he's in charge of Microsoft and making magical satanic devices, voodoo, Illuminati, Mason, 666 Mark of the Beast. Think about it. Yeah, that's enough of that show. I love that conspiracy stuff online. It's so stupid. All right. I'm going to say something. Uber CEO has revealed some mind-boggling statistics. Apparently, they are destroying the market when it comes to them versus taxis in San Francisco. And I want to, for the San Francisco statistic, I want to say one thing. Yeah, that's obvious. There are literally like 2 taxis in San Francisco. So, of course, Uber's going to win there. It is interesting that their growth in New York is up 4 times a year over year, and then in London they're growing at a rate of 5 to 6 times per year. That's
Now,
crazy.
okay, so in numbers, the numbers from that article was $140 million of taxi business in San Francisco, and versus 400 million for Uber. But the takeaway from that was interesting, and that's cool. But the really interesting takeaway was that Uber seems to attribute most of that added value from the centralization of their service. I sort of indirectly gleaned that. So they were talking about being able to do rideshare. And so it's like, I'm on my way from A to B. Oh, there's 3 other people that I could share with on my route. That'll lower my fare. We can stop and pick them up. They're on the way. That's great. That's some sophisticated software, but it's nothing that has not existed in the software realm before. I mean, that, UPS delivery, FedEx delivery, those companies have had that type of software for quite a long time to optimize their delivery routes. In computer science, it's a difficult problem to solve, but it's not unsolvable because we've been doing that for quite a long time because it's a useful problem to solve. And so that, I think, is some of the inefficiency in the taxi industry to an extent that I had not imagined. And so Uber is really, really providing something valuable in terms of the organization, in terms of how they're the people that have rides available and selling that to the market and that kind of thing. And that's why they're able to make more money than the taxi industry. Now, if you were a large taxi company and you were seeing that, you would be like, crap, there should be a taxi company out there buying a software company tomorrow to solve the problem. And then the taxi companies can come back and, and maybe address this. But holy crap, we need that everywhere. Not that Uber's anything great, but software.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, we even met some some of our cool users because of Uber. We get in the car and they'll be like, "Hey," and then be like, "Well, what are you doing the rest of the night?" And they're like, "Oh, we ended up going to like a LAN party or whatever, or a bar or something," because they're like, "Hey, you guys, what the hell?" So it's fun when you travel and meet somebody that way, but probably feel bad now because I'm sure they could have made more money not hanging out with us. I bought them a beer. And let's look at DARPA's Atlas robot, shall we? They are at a point where they are about to, quote unquote, cut the cord with the Atlas robot. If you haven't seen the Atlas robot, it is freaky because it's kind of what I had pictured in my head when I thought of giant killer robots. So that's always fun. It is back and it's 75% new. They rebuilt most of it. It now has better range of motion. And they originally created this thing to go into disaster combat zones and save civilians. So yeah, but it's probably going to have the power to neutralize threats or whatever, whatever someone deems as a threat. So this thing's probably going to be loose in the world pretty soon. And it's a very small step in the first direction, but it's sort of the alpha that we look to for this sort of robot, and it's like going to be in use soon. So I don't know. It's
something Sarah Connor joke. I don't know.
Come with me if you want to live. That's what it'll be. So Google has spent more than any other company in history on lobbying, and they're doing it because they want Congress and they want the government to maintain net neutrality. And they spent $16.8 million. So that's what they've been spending. What's interesting is if you take the combined total of everything that AT&T, Comcast, Sprint, and Time Warner and Verizon have spent, that's $53.4 million. And they're lobbying in the opposite direction. So Google knows that net neutrality is completely necessary for their style of business. And if net neutrality is not established or not maintained, then it's going to affect their bottom line. And they believe that it will affect their bottom line, obviously, at least to the tune of $16.8 million a year. And we'll see how much they're going to be giving away this year. We'll know next year, but yeah, who knows? So I guess that's kind of interesting to see that Google, it seems like they're always fighting on our side, but they're fighting for their own interests, and they've created their interests that kind of coincide with the interests of the people instead of, it's just an interesting way that they've built their business. It's totally different than a lot of the other companies out there with their walled gardens and their, crazy tactics to fence people in and tie them down. So Google's like, go anywhere, do whatever you want. Just we'll make money off of you. We'll collect a little bit of data here and there and give you ads. It'll be nice. But net neutrality is important for them, so they are lobbying for it. I guess I'm for it myself, but Anyway,
I think that Google is concerned that the relatively low number of ISPs in America will become like the gatekeepers of the internet, and so they'll be able to choose the winners and losers directly or indirectly, because that is exactly how it's going to play out. Let me explain it to you in real simple terms. Comcast and Verizon are not going to add any more subscribers in America. They already have all the subscribers in America. Like we're not adding new people here in America. Our population's not really increasing that much. They have already got every customer they're going to get. So how are they going to increase revenue? How are they going to make more profit? Well, the only option is to charge more for less. There's no other option other than to charge more for less. So what do you think is going to happen?
Google has a lot of other things going on because, wherever there's data that's good for them. And right now, all the data bandwidth caps on mobile are probably hurting them a lot. And, they can go and they can lobby and they can do things, but Google also likes to put their money where their mouth is, and they are working on their own wireless service. And they're also, striking up some deals with Sprint and T-Mobile, possibly to share towers. I can't even read this full story. It was there earlier. Now the Wall Street Journal is like, you must log in to see the full story. So screw you, Wall Street Journal. That's an ancient model of, doing business. I'm not going to give you any money because I can Google it and find out somewhere else. As a matter of fact, I'll do that right now while we're live and let you. What do you think is going to happen with Google if they created their own wireless carrier?
I think that Google, it's part of Google always goes multiple ways. Let's do it 5 different ways and see which way is the best. That's kind of how things work inside Google. And so this is just another way to see how it plays out. Also announced this week, they're investing $1 billion in Elon Musk's low Earth orbit satellite network. Now, the difference between this and like your Hughes, your DirectNet and things like that, those are geosynchronous orbits. So those are much farther away. These orbits are much closer. They're like the orbit that the space station uses, which is very much closer to Earth. And so the latency with that, even though it's satellite internet, is not going to be as bad as it is with geostationary satellites. So I need to work out the math and see what the latency is going to be. I have a feeling that the latency is still going to be on the order of 150, 200 milliseconds, which is still crazy high. But maybe that won't be so bad.
You can do everything except game at that latency. You can game and you can't really. Video chat, it'll kind of work. We could
video chat would kind of be okay, maybe, but gaming would be rough.
Now, I always thought of Google as like a company that plays chess. They sit back and they look at the board and then they really plan their moves out. And they're not planning just the next move. They're planning for the end of the game. But now that you mention this, it's like, they do kind of do like 6 moves at the same time and then see which one works. And then, so maybe they're not exactly chess players. Maybe they're still playing the long game, but they're playing the long game by putting, I guess we could probably have a gambling term. Like they put a chip on each color and number. I don't know, some kind of what's that thing? Roulette. Put someone who knows gambling. Put a roulette metaphor in here for me, please, because I'm failing. So yeah,
they're a chess master that's playing multiple games simultaneously. How about that?
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, they're going from table to table. They're one of those guys at the park who everyone else is like taking forever, and they just go by and move a piece and see which chessboard pans out. Maybe that's what it is. So anyway. Enough metaphor and simile. The new police radars that can see inside homes. These are great. Okay. Indie Star, these are not new. We just newly found out about them. They've been around since 2012, and there are at least 50 U.S. law enforcement agencies. They put these on, and it sends radar into the house, basically. And it can even detect when you're breathing, so they know where you are in the house, how many people are in the house.
There's this really amazing consumer advocacy group that they rent or have empty houses in various places where the police may or may not be getting sketchy quote search warrants to look for quote unquote drug houses, and they'll take an empty house and they'll just sort of put things on the wall and do some other things to make it seem like it's a drug house or whatever, but it's not. It's completely empty. And then they put cameras and surveillance equipment everywhere, and then so they've got a YouTube channel that's just filled with police raiding empty houses, and then there's a note on the wall that's like, "Hey, yeah, guess what?" And it's amazing. Like, you look at the court cases, and it's like an anonymous informant tipped us off that they were buying drugs at this address, and it's like, really? Because I think you made that up. I think that you were driving around with one of these things and you were like, it looks like this is a grow operation in this house. Let's get a warrant. Oh, an anonymous tipster said that we should probably get a warrant for this place. So that's kind of amazing.
Well, if they put one of these sensors on the wall, what would they get? Just like, we can't figure it out. There's obviously drug activity going on, but no one ever comes and no one ever goes.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there is no external evidence that there's anything untoward going on at this house. And I'm not sure what they do, but it's things that cause false positives with this type of equipment. And so it's really interesting. They've got a write-up about it on the website, and there's different techniques in different jurisdictions, but they'll actually do that to help show that police are behaving badly in various jurisdictions.
Let's talk about the implications of this device in the future, because this is... there's already technology that's way more advanced than this. It's just not available, or maybe not affordable for a lot of law enforcement agencies. Let's say, 10, 20 years down the road.
I don't know. The article said that was only $6,000. Like, the article said that this device cost $6,000. And that's horrifying, because it's like, everybody's just going to have one of those. And it's like, what am I supposed to do? Put aluminum foil between the drywall and the studs now? This is unacceptable.
And then your friends are going to make fun of you for being a tinfoil person and all that.
Apparently.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, so that's like I was saying, the I guess the more technologically advanced stuff that can essentially see through walls and create heat maps and all that sort of thing. I mean, right now the laws. They're obviously not telling the citizenry that they're doing these things. They were just doing them, and they were doing them without, it seems like without any checks and balances. I mean. Do you think
transparency is what we need? Honestly, but that's the same pattern with everything. We talked about Stingray, like where Stingray is capturing cell phone data, and it's like, we can't talk about that. We need to make sure the public doesn't find out about that. That's really disturbing. The public needs to know. Now, these types of tools, they're great. I mean, can you imagine another 9/11 and having this type of equipment to sift through the rubble and look for people that are still alive and look for people that are still breathing in the rubble? Absolutely. That would be amazing. It would be amazing to have this kind of equipment in an emergency situation. But a bunch of policemen bored driving around using this type of equipment to harass innocent citizens, that's very bad.
Or, going around the wrong part of town trying to find out where the action is and that sort of thing, and being like, hey, guess what's going on in there, man? I know that's going to happen as well.
Yeah,
I guess the future implication and the thing that I would just be curious about, maybe get some of the people in the comments to chime in on this. Should we even? I mean, I know we should fight these kind of things and all that, but it just seems like we are heading in a direction where this stuff is going to be everywhere, and it's going to be a way of life. And in 10, 20 years, maybe you live in a building and there's security cameras outside. There is radar or sonar monitoring everything you do inside, and it's just like that's the norm, because 20, 30 years ago, this kind of stuff that's happening right now with all the monitoring would have appalled people. But it is a very gradual thing where, like, okay, we're gonna cut off your toe, and you're like, ow, that really hurts, and then you're like, okay, I'm used to it now. And it's just like it gets worse, and then it gets worse, and then they take away something else, and then if they do it slowly enough, and they,
the common term for that is boiling a frog. You don't want the frog to know that it's being boiled alive until it's too late. And that is exactly what we're talking about.
So, I mean, I know we're on one side of this, and we get called names like, oh, you guys have tinfoil hats on and everything, because you're actually looking at things that are real and are happening. I mean, these are not made up things, and we shouldn't have to be called tinfoil hat idiots for even talking about this kind of stuff. It's everyone has their little worldview, right? And they ignore things like this that are troubling to their nice, pristine worldview. And if it doesn't fit in their bubble, the fact doesn't exist. It's almost like religious fervor. And I don't know. I guess right now I'm sort of at a point where it's desperation. What do you do? Do you go live in the woods? Do you just ignore the fact that all these problems exist? How do you fight it? Do you even fight it? Do you just try to elect better officials? Can we even elect better officials? I don't see much of a way out. It just seems to be going down this slope farther and farther, and we're just sitting here yelling about it.
The problem, what you're describing is a perfect microcosm of the problem on a macro scale. And that is when we say these things and people post things in the YouTube comments that don't make any sense because the YouTube comments are already a vast swill of just badness.
Swill of badness plus 4.
Yeah.
You fell in a swill of badness plus 4. Take 40 points of damage.
40 points of IQ damage.
Charisma is permanently affected.
This kind of thing is people will look for ways to attack you because you have a different opinion. And, the really ancient, like, Aaron Burr or somebody, it's like, I may not agree with what you say, sir, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. We sort of lost our way there, and it becomes about, A team and the B team. And certainly that's the political playing field, if not on the global scale, certainly in America, where it's like if you're not on political team A, we are against you. We can't be about ideology or any of that kind of thing. And you can see a microcosm of that with the types of things that you were just talking about, where it's like, we can't have an honest debate and we can't have an intellectual conversation. We can't have a balanced conversation where somebody who thinks something can't at least try to see some other person's point of view. It turns into, it's this, or it's that, or whatever. And that's not, like, society is about rational discourse. I would like to have, an honest conversation about this and why you think that and why it's not really a thing. But people that have power tend to want to hang on to power. It's just human nature. And the only thing that really keeps power in check is transparency. There's no other option other than transparency when you have something in power. The founding fathers understood that really well, and the press was supposed to do that. I don't think the press really does that anymore because the press is basically run by Rupert Murdoch, but there are people out there who are still doing their job. But you have people like Snowden who are like, I'm seeing the leader of my organization lie to Congress, and I have to do something about it. And whether or not what he did was right, that is true. He saw the leader of his organization lying to Congress and chose to act on that. And so this is a really sort of interesting situation.
Well, one of the side effects of President Obama's anti-hacking, legislation is that it is kind of declaring war on journalism, because it's not just hacking on a computer. It also includes things like sharing information that they deem to be either obtained through, hacking or obtained through illicit means. Like all the stuff that Snowden obtained, it would be illegal under Obama's plan to share any of that information. So normally, with a journalist, if they get some information from a source, they can share it. But now they could go to prison for this, and that's all under Obama's plan. It's way more insidious than it seems, and it's also vague to the point where if they don't like somebody or they don't agree with someone, they could easily apply the rules within his new, anti-hacking stuff and either ruin their life, throw them in prison, or it just pretty much destroyed them as a human. So
just this week, Barrett Brown, he was the guy that was acting as Anonymous' spokesperson. He got 63 months in prison for linking to the material, posting a link in a chat room to the material that Anonymous had released. 63 months. That is insane. And this is, Obama's like People for Computer Crimes, Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, and things like that. They don't really seem to want to reform it. It's really disturbing that you can have sort of a witch hunt and sort of a miscarriage of justice. Because did that guy break the law? I don't know. Even if he did, what he did was certainly not worth 63 months. That's completely insane.
Yeah, that's what you get for like, murder in some of the more progressive European countries, and that's certainly not what you get for any sort of a crime like this. It's unbelievable. I mean,
the argument can be made that Stratfor is in bed with government organizations and that there is some level of corruption there, and that they're as part of the military-industrial complex and blah 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 blah. And so there is perhaps some public interest, some modicum of public interest in this event that took place. Certainly there is a journalistic interest there, maybe. But 63 months, he's already been in prison 33 months, and they figured that he would probably just get time served. But no, it's 63 months. So hopefully he'll appeal that, and hopefully he'll be able to get a speedy appeal. But that's really, I mean, the United States is already kind of bad for throwing people in prison for no good reason. And this just, it really bothers me, because we need to not run away from technology. This technology can bring us the transparency. Why are we doing this? I don't understand.
And you know who else can bring us the transparency? Whistleblowers can bring us the transparency, but Obama has punished them 10 times as much as any other U.S. president ever. So actually 10 times more than all of the U.S. presidents combined. That's what the headline says here. So if you blow the whistle, you know, even though they come out and said, we need more whistleblowers, we need people to come out there and blah, 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 put things in the light and all that sort of thing. Yeah, they're going to hit you in the head with a brick and throw you in Texas prison or something like that. I don't even know. Anyway, I want to move on from that because it's... Go ahead.
Yeah, the ACLU has noted that Obama has secured 526 months of prison time for national security leakers, with the majority given to Chelsea Manning, who was sentenced to 35 years. That was the WikiLeaks, the big WikiLeaks leak from way back.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the Dread Pirate Roberts, shall we? This is getting to be sort of an interesting case. So the Dread Pirate Roberts ran
Silk Road.
He ran the Silk Road, which is the underground dark web website that allowed you to go on there and buy illicit things with Bitcoin. And it was, of course, an illegal activity. And they could not figure out who the Dread Pirate Roberts is. And it's really interesting because the police officers on this case were doing old-fashioned police stuff, not like, all this newfangled. I don't think they really caught many people at all, like actually truly guilty people with all the freaking NSA nonsense. They're about as useful as the TSA. Maybe that's why their acronyms are so, or they're not acronyms, they're iconisms. I always forget that word.
Initialism,
yes.
Initialism.
I always want to call it iconism, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. It's not an icon. Anyway, yeah, that's why their initialisms are similar. Anyway, he did old-fashioned police work, and he was tracking, down the Dread Pirate Roberts. And right at the end, his search led him to Ross William Ulbright. And that's not who he was following all along. I'll let you take it away from here.
Yeah, so the FBI agent spent months pursuing the guy that ran Mount Gox. And so for months and months, he was pursuing the guy that ran Mount Gox. And then apparently in like a landslide week-long turnaround, it was like, wait, it's actually Ross Ulbright. Yes, Ross Ulbright. And so that's part of the defense's defense is that, well, yes, Ross Ulbright wrote the code and came up with Silk Road, but he turned it over to new administrators, which included, or was maybe, the guy from Mount Gox, which the guy from Mount Gox has denied that. But that's an interesting defense. Yeah. It's like, oh, yes, the guy was involved and all this kind of stuff, but he did not run it. He turned over control. And he's now the fall guy. So that's a really interesting defense. But the prosecution had new stuff.
I mean, if this was a movie, the guy from Mount Gox would be like Kaiser Sose, and then he frames him right at the last minute, and then he's the Dread Pirate Roberts, and at the end of the movie, his limp goes away magically, and you're like, wait a minute, he's Kaiser Sose. That's what it would be like. But, I mean, of course, that's how they want to spin it. So even if he is, even if Ulbright is the Dread Pirate Roberts, he's doing a hell of a job of spinning this and causing some confusion. Now, the troubling part is here, someone from Wired actually interviewed the Dread Pirate Roberts way back when, and they talked about there being two different people, one person turning it over to somebody else, and all that sort of thing. And the judge doesn't want to hear any of that. He doesn't even want to allow the jury to have access to that information. That's just not on the table, which is a bit strange. So it's still a very gray matter for most people, but it's strange that he wouldn't allow that to be even like evidence, because that stuff happened before the case and it's public. It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, it is really weird, and it's really relevant to the defense. I mean, the FBI agent was like, well, yeah, I did think it was that guy, but then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, the real guy is this other guy. And the evidence that they gathered from his laptop, he was at a public library, Ross Ulbright, when he was arrested. And it's really interesting how they did that. And it plays in with the whole Obama is against encryption. Yeah, I mean, and Cameron is like, oh, no, we can't have encryption. And Obama's like, well, we can have encryption as long as I can take a look at it. You have a lot of noise.
Yeah, it's a truck going by. Hold on a second.
So it was really interesting how sort of, how this was all playing out as far as encryption goes. But if you look at how the police acted in this, whether Albright is guilty or not, it was a good old fashioned police investigation. They got the guy, they started following him, and they started keeping an eye on him, because this type of defense where, I'm not the guy, it was somebody else, is a pretty common defense. And so what you have to do is sort of catch them in the act. You have to, have a camera basically looking over the guy's shoulder when he's replying. It's like, oh yes, hello, my name is the Dread Pirate Roberts or whatever. And that's what they were doing. They had an FBI agent inside the Silk Road organization, and that they were helping run the site, and they were being paid in Bitcoin for doing that. And the way, and his laptop had full disk encryption, and the way that they were able to get access to it was they waited for him to use it, and then 2 FBI agents got in a fight behind him as a distraction, while a third FBI agent dove for his laptop and basically snatched his laptop away before the screensaver could kick on or before he knew what was really happening. And I thought that was a really clever, interesting way to handle it. But again, old-fashioned police work. And so don't buy into the whole Obama, the sky's falling and we need to be able to see into encryption and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, look, good old-fashioned police work still works just fine. Keep doing good old-fashioned police work. I promise it's okay.
It may be the only thing that still does work, because it seems to be they are more devoted to finding things, whereas with the other style, it's just like they're devoted to keeping everything. It's a hoarding complex rather than actual police work. Anyway, you ready to move on and talk about hardware? Just getting a bit.
Let's talk about hardware.
Yeah, let's move on. Check out this Keymouse thing here on Kickstarter. So it's a keyboard, right? One for each hand, left-handed, right-handed, and inside there's a high-powered laser. It's loud as hell. Just get a shot of them moving around on the table. Yeah. Standard mouse and keyboard. Very difficult because you always have to move your hand back and forth from the mouse to the keyboard. So this is a ergonomic keyboard with a lot of programmable buttons. And it's also a mouse. It moves around on the desk. It's strange looking, but it's not that different than some of the ergonomic keyboards I've seen out there on the market. You'd have to be someone who knows how to type correctly. If you're someone who peck types or does not type with the correct fingers, you may have a bit of difficulty with this device. I imagine you can get used to it, but yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think you would try one of these things?
I think I'd like to try it. It looks interesting enough. I'd actually like to try it.
Well, you've typically used a 10 keyless keyboard. You've got the small version of the Model M, because when you're programming and stuff, you have to jump your hand all the way over the the number pad and all that sort of thing. So, I mean, you could be like typing and moving the mouse at the same time. It's ridiculous.
I could get used to left-handed mousing again. That would be nice.
Yeah, that's right. You're a lefty. He's a lefty, everybody. So is Pistol, by the way. We are like we're like half lefties. I'm not a lefty, but
I became a righty because the Microsoft IntelliMouse Explorer, which is the most comfortable optical mouse I'd ever used, because my giant bear claw hands, was only ever made in a right hand configuration, and up until then I had used symmetrical mice, and then it was like, using this mouse because it is optical and ergonomic is just amazing, and so ever since then I've been right-handed for mousing.
Huh, weird. They like forced you. That's weird.
I've betrayed my lefty brethren.
And all of a sudden, your entire world changed, and now you think differently and everything. All right,
Yes,
let's move on and
exactly.
take a look at another keyboard out there on the market. This is the ACS Nano. And this one, they say that it cleans itself, powers itself, and it can tell who you are by your style of typing. It can detect how you type, and it can also detect like the pressure that you use on the keys and that sort of thing. So if you sit down and put in your password, and they notice that the pressure on the keys is different and the typing style is different, they'll be like, "Yeah, you entered the password, but we don't think it's you." So apparently that can be an accurate way to distinguish one person from another person. Kind of interesting. They say it's going to power itself by generating power from the types. Like you type, or it could be used, or your typing could possibly be used to power an external device, maybe a mouse or something like that. That's kind of interesting. And it also has like a nano coating that'll help repel dirt and grime and everything like that. So it's a kind of a little scientific keyboard. There were some keyboards like this that came out a while back that advertised the nano coating, and I remember they all had to go back in and release statements saying like, "Oh yeah, by the way, our nano coating, it's just soft touch. It's not actually, killing bacteria and germs or anything like that, even though we told you it did." So I wonder if this is one of those things, or I wonder if it's actually something that repels How can, I guess it repels dirt and grime. Maybe it's got a hydrophobic coating or something. It doesn't say germs, just dirt and grime. So I don't know.
They can have my in-key rollover Model M when they pry it from my cold, dead hands.
Did you have to create that yourself, like going in and like making your own circuitry?
Yes, I had to etch my own copper foil to replace the plastic foil, but it actually works well.
That's only for the USB model. I mean, if you want to use PS2, you're good to go. So
nope, it's still only 2-key rollover.
Even with PS2.
Yeah, you got to do the Model F. If you can do the Model F, you can have in-key rollover. But the Model M, you can replace one of the layers of plastic with a copper foil that you've soldered diodes to, and that works just fine.
Foiled! All right, move on. Let's take a look at this mouse. That doesn't even make any sense. This mouse is also a computer. So now there's a tiny prototype mouse with an entire computer in it. I feel like we've seen this before. Maybe? I don't know, or something like it before. Maybe I just thought of this. I think Kane just told me he wanted to build something like this before. So this is going to have a 1.4 gigahertz ARM processor, 128 gigabytes of flash storage, which is nice, Wi-Fi BGN, and 2 USB 3.0 slots right here on the mouse, plus a micro HDMI port. That's going to, if you plug in a bunch of stuff to your mouse, it's going to be like trying to move around a plate of spaghetti. Like, it's just going to be really awkward. Like, let me just grab my spaghetti and move it around here. It's going to be heavy and freaking awkward.
If you are the Dread Pirate Roberts, this is the ideal machine for running your criminal enterprise from.
Yeah. You can unplug your mouse and run. And they'll be like, well, we got his computer. He can have that shitty old mouse. Little do they know. Well, they'll learn. We should make a product like this. If we made something like this, would you guys, in the store, would you guys want it? I probably wouldn't do a full computer in there, but maybe a mouse that has 128 gigabytes of flash with a controller on board that's USB 3, so that it can run at like 400 or 500 megabytes per second. Like actual a nice stick of memory. It probably costs a little bit of money, but if you think about it, you can install a couple of distros of Linux on there and have it set up so that it is your desktop. So whenever you plug in your mouse to any computer, all of a sudden you're on your own personal desktop. It's a good idea, huh? We should do that. I think I want to do that.
Combination mouse and flash drive.
Yeah. But like, I'm not talking like just regular flash drive. I want like a very, very fast flash drive. We saw a lot of those at CES from companies like Mushkin and AData and that sort of thing, where they have, and even Corsair, they have flash drives that have a built-in, I think some of them have like a built-in SandForce controller or a built-in Phison controller or something like that right on the flash drive. So it's really, really fast memory through the USB.
I saw a demo of that running some Linux distributions on the flash drive, and because the USB 3 interface was so fast, it was actually a reasonable experience having your operating system run through that, because you've got you got the like SCSI over USB, like it can do the advanced sort of packet level protocols. It's not quite as something as silly as traditional USB, so that's really cool. You could run Linux off of a fast USB flash drive.
Yeah, it's a hell of a lot faster than a mechanical drive internally. I mean, and it's on your mouse.
And it's less of a terrible experience than thumbstick Linux usually is.
Yeah. I think we should make something like that. If you guys want something like that, let us know, and maybe we'll see. I'll look into doing it. That would be kind of cool. I kind of want one for myself. But the other thing about that is I'm not willing to compromise with my mouse, so I would have to go out there and get like a decent Avago infrared sensor, and maybe some. I don't know. Maybe I'll talk to Zoe. I love the feel and the shape and the build quality of this mouse. Zoe, give me a call. How you guys doing? All right, the 960 is upon us. I'll just mention this quickly. You guys should go check out the 960 video. We did some SLI benchmarks. Here's my bottom line. I'll give it to you guys quick with the 960. It's pretty damn fast if you're not running filters, and it only has a 2 gigabyte frame buffer, and it's 128 bit, so that's a bit lacking. But the price is decent for $200. If you're doing like...
My feed died. Hang on.
Oh, no. So yeah, I could get into it more, but you guys should really go and watch the video. Oh no, Windows left. His battery died. And we're back. All right, moving on from the 960. What else is on the list? Okay, AMD is... they had a bit of a rough year. Their fourth quarter report shows them down quite a bit. How much were they down? This website failed to load correctly, like the CSS didn't load or something. I bet it's my
It's an operating operating loss of 330 million and a net loss of 364 million. But they were up 0.82% today on those announcements. So maybe the news wasn't as bad as people were expecting.
That's weird. It's like, oh, they lost $300 million. Well, yeah, we should invest. Yeah, invest now. Hurry. I don't know, 390X maybe soon. 3 series cards from AMD. I would love to play with those. New innovations in ARM. I don't know what they've got going on, but open source stuff. You guys are just too open source. If you guys just stop doing all the open source stuff, it'd be a lot better. I'm joking right now.
It doesn't, with AMD, so there are some other companies that are in the mix. AMD is kind of becoming a brand name. And with their close ties with global foundries, there's a lot of really interesting things happening, but it's happening in not exactly super transparent ways. So I don't really want to speculate, and I'm not really sure what has happened in about the last 6 months or so. But with a processor company like AMD, it's not entirely unusual that they will have massive losses for a quarter or two while they're working on a new product. And they have really insane losses compared to, the past 3 or 4 quarters of the 3 or 4 years, I guess. So, yeah, hopefully that means that the new x86 thing that they're working on is going to be amazing and the APUs are totally going to rescue them. I mean, Nintendo's going to have an APU, so and then that's all the consoles running AMD. What does that tell you? So that's interesting.
I'm more interested in their new line of FX parts or extreme parts, or just they've got to have something up their sleeve. And I know we've heard rumors from different people in strange rooms, like when you're out at 2 a.m. in Las Vegas, and then someone leans over to you and is like, listen, man, I just want to let you know that there was nothing on the roadmap from AMD, but now there's something on the roadmap from AMD, and holy shit, this is all secret. So that's what I'm hoping is. I hope that stuff is real. I hope there's something going on over there at AMD. That would be really cool. But I don't know anything other than that. That's all I know. Just things said after too many beers.
Something, the next AMD X2. It's like the AMD X2. You guys had no idea how awesome that was. Most people didn't. But the AMD, the Athlon X2 was an amazing CPU. And if AMD pulls out something amazing like that again, oh, that'll be nice.
And the first time I ever tried out an AMD FX processor way back when, my face melted. And now it's just kind of sad. It's like, well, I got to have speed, and it looks like I'm getting an Intel. So that's just all there is to it. I'm spending extra money, of course, to get an Intel. But if I want the fastest thing, I'm going to have to spend twice as much to get the extra 20% performance or whatever. But yeah. Anyway.
Also, the dual socket Thunderbird was amazing. Dual socket Thunderbird, it was like, this was just, it's crazy. And it's like, they were like, all right, let's take that awesomeness and let's put both of these chips on one chip. And it was just like, psh, game over.
Let me just say something to the audience out there for people who are just going to be jumping in the comments and saying, oh my God, you guys are AMD fanboys, and then you guys are going to go over to freaking the 4chan G and just like put up some kind of terrible Photoshop nonsense and make my nose all crooked and all that stuff. I know how you guys work. Here's the deal. I root for both companies because we need both companies. If only one company exists, that's a monopoly, and then they can just do whatever they want. They can abuse the users. They can, I mean, it would be a mess. So we need both of these companies. It's important. So, and right now AMD isn't doing so well. So I'm kind of rooting for them to come out with something awesome to push Intel in a direction that I know Intel can go in very easily. They probably already have the technology just sitting on it, waiting to see what AMD does. Like, well, AMD's over here doing nothing. I guess we don't need to release the secret parts, do we? Nah, just hold on to them for another year. Okay, I'll do that, Steve. I bet that's what's happening right now. Anyway, I'm using an Intel myself because I want the extra performance. But yeah, that's been clarified now. We can move on. I feel better about things. But they're still going to do it. It's going to be on G. I know it. I'm hanging out with Stallman on G, I guess. All right. So there's this new hydrophobic metal, and it doesn't use a coating like a lot of the other things out there. What they've actually done is they've created like nano structures or nano channels in the metal to make it naturally hydrophobic. That's pretty interesting. So this can be done to just about anything. It doesn't really change the properties of the metal. You could do this to the outside of an airplane, and it would make it completely just hydrophobic. That's I mean, this, the applications for this, the applications and implications are pretty amazing for this stuff. The comments. The first comment. My God, this will make an amazing urinal. I mean, yeah, it will make an amazing urinal, but wow. It's just like, that's the first thing I was thinking. You're like, hey, this could change the world. And this guy's like, man, this will make the best urinal ever. Can't wait. Yeah. All right, let's move on. See, what's this? The biosensing machine. Oh, yeah, this is scientists have created a biosensor that can smell better than humans. Yeah, that's a thing. So they put that in the robot. That could be cool. I keep pressing the wrong damn button. My hand is out of there. Nope, that one. This microphone, my hand is not in the right spot on the keyboard anymore. There it is. Yeah.
I read this, and there was an episode of Star Trek Voyager. Voyager is such a terrible series. There was an episode of Voyager where there was a hologram that helped take care of some alien ship. So there's an alien ship, and there's a distress call, and Voyager arrives to investigate the distress call. And there's a hologram on the alien ship taking care of the ship, doing maintenance and that kind of thing. Well, it turns out the hologram has gone crazy because all the people smell and leave their fingerprint oils all over everything, and he's always cleaning that up, and it's making him insane. And so he killed everybody so they would stop doing that. And this makes me think this technology someday, it's like we saw the Atlas robot, they're going to put this on Atlas, and then we've got a Terminator. It's like, why are you killing people? Because you all smell.
You smell of red meat and sadness. You must die. Yeah. That's exactly what's going to happen. There's a couple of videos here. I think we're running a little long here, but the Elon Musk interview is interesting because they asked him, what do you think's the 5 most important, or I'm not even sure about the 5, but the most important pieces of technology for the future are. I'll just go ahead and play this.
Five categories. There's, and I'm not even giving a particular order, but making life multiplanetary, achieving sustainable production and consumption of energy. Obviously, the internet as a whole. I mean, the continued growth of the internet. And then potentially, if we do this, reprogramming human genetics, and the fifth one would be artificial intelligence.
So, love him or hate him, he's someone who actually does something about the things that he feels are the future. Of course, he mentioned artificial intelligence in there. And reprogramming the human genome. Those are 2 things he's not exactly working on directly. He is funding some research into the consequences of artificial intelligence, but he is actually working on making humans an interplanetary species. He thinks that's very important. It's interesting that he's actually working on a few of those things. So there aren't many like him. Apparently, he's difficult to work for, like most visionaries. They see the big picture, and the minutia kind of escapes them. My brain. I think I watched him stutter too much, and now I'm stuttering. He does have a strange mode of speaking. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. So yeah, I don't know. You guys can go watch the whole entire video if you're interested in Elon Musk or what he's up to. Like I said, love him or hate him, he's probably someone that you may want to listen to, because when he says things, he does things. He's not just someone who has opinions. He's someone who forces opinions and all that sort of thing. Anyway, University of Durham in North Carolina. Duke in North Carolina, which is in Durham. They have developed some muscles. They're artificial muscles that they are able to grow, and they're using stem cells that are, I guess they're just outside of the stem cell phase, but not quite into the next phase yet. So they're in this interesting phase, and they're able to regrow muscle with that. So this could have some. I mean, let's have a little fun here. They'll put this on Project Aura. There we go. We got a robot that can flex and can smell. Everything in this episode goes on to Project Aura. That's the rules. This would be kind of cool. I mean, right now they've only been doing this in very, very small applications. So I don't know, but hey, in 10 years, you won't have to work out anymore. You'll just go pay some guy and they'll grow your muscles for you. And then you'll go one day and you'll come back home and be like, oh yeah, I can't even put my arms down anymore because I got these huge muscles. It's wonderful. I don't know. Should we talk about the Valve file erasing Steam bug? I don't know much about this, but apparently it only affected a few people.
Yeah, it's worth a mention. It was a total noob mistake. It was like, oh, we should RM the Steam folder if somebody moved their folder, then there was a certain variable in a shell script that would be null. And so it was basically RM rf/, and which runs as the user, so it couldn't do any damage except the user's home folder, any files that belong to them on the system. So it would basically wipe out your home folder if you move that, which is a complete noob mistake to do. That's like how you would program something on Windows.
Yeah. Ugh. So
those kind
I'm
of
sure they
noobs.
fixed it already, but whoops. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, sorry this episode was a bit slapdash, but it was. It's been a hell of a couple of days. I've been working like 15-hour days, guys. So yeah.
We did it because we love you guys. We've also got a giant mountain of Linux coverage coming soon.
Linux is going to be a thing, and open source is going to be a thing this year for us. I mean, I think that's sort of a niche that we can really get into. And I'm on Windows right now because I'm reliant upon a lot of the programs. But this year, I'm going to make a conscious effort to do more with Linux and try to find as many alternative programs as I can. So
He's going to learn Blender, y'all.
Yeah, Blender maybe. I mean, it's either going to be Blender, Arcadian Live. Yeah, I don't know.
Blender. Just go for broke. Blender. It's going to be Blender.
Just go all out with Blender. Just go like
Crunchiness level 7. Let's integrate Siri into Blender. It's like, Blender, do this for me. Okay.
that would make it a lot easier. But yeah, I mean, let me know. I mean, so far the options I've played with in Linux, like Lightworks and stuff, I know Zoltan's going to be angry when he hears this, but no, it's not as fast and easy, and we've got so much work to do. Last night we were up till 5 a.m. editing all these videos for the 960. If I was trying to do that using Lightworks, sure, it would be an elegant, nice solution, but I would still be editing. It's just so foreign to my brain, and also it works differently in a way that it doesn't jive with me, man. It doesn't jive with me. So I'm gonna have to use there's other options out there. I mean, Nixie Pixel uses the program that I prefer the most on Linux, and that can get the job done just fine. I just have to get used to it. So as soon as I have time to get used to it, I'll try a little bit harder. So we'll see what we can do. Yeah. Anyway, that's the end. You want to say do the salutation? I'm too tired.
What?
I'm just tired. You want to do the ending salutation? Yeah.
Yes. So, okay, we're leaving now, but you guys should rate, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, and especially comment if you notice that the YouTube comments have an unusually high level of swill. Try to bring that up a notch, because we know that all of our regular people have been ignoring the YouTube comments, but man, some of it lately has just been, I mean, the trolls are out in full force, so let's not let that happen. And I'm rambling again, so you guys are going to go.
That's why I didn't want to get this big. Now look at us. You got to deal with idiots in the comments. I mean, it's sad. I have to know that those idiots exist. I didn't want to know that. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to ignore that.
I'm going to have to make the CAPTCHA to get in on the website longer. It's already like 12 characters. I mean, it's like, come on. It's like you gotta pass a 12-question Turing test now. So I'll do it. Don't make me do it.
Most of the people on our website are most. If you go to the website, you're one of the good ones. That's usually the way it works. There's a couple idiots who show up on the website every now and then to stalk and harass, and they've got some sort of a mental disorder, and I feel for them. But by and large, most people on the website are relaxed and groovy and intelligent and all that sort of thing. So thank you guys for being awesome. Also, I want to say thanks to the tech support people out there. If you don't know what that is, that's where you can buy us a coffee or a beer a month, and you guys can go do that on the website. Please consider doing that, because we are going to expand to things bigger than just YouTube this year. I mean, we make videos and we do content, but that's not what it's about. It's about actually getting out there and making a difference in general in the world. So yeah, we have some big plans, but big plans require big budgets.
Funding.
Yeah, they do.
Fund us!
And I was going to go to a bank. I mean, we could make some kind of a campaign begging our audience for absurd sums of money. But I'll say that, hey, the tech support people are going to help. Maybe we will get on Kickstarter if we have something that I think is going to be mutually beneficial to all of us, not just us. But we'll see. And yeah, big plans, guys, big plans. All right, that ended up being a multiple. That's an Elon Musk ending right there. Bye, everybody. There's nothing else to say. Not right now, anyway. I'm still talking. You should have closed the video by now.
Yes, long ago.
Why are you still watching? Sorry.
So, are you hoping to get in on the post-tech powwow? Because that's not going to happen. See, I'm gonna use my phone and turn you off right now. So, something, punch a button, and